All right, welcome to engineering part 2 here of our CO2 car design. We have a design. Now we are going to kind of work through our different components that are going to be added here. And we're also going to get into making sure that this vehicle is in spec. So from here, now that we have our vehicle drawn up, what we can do now is we're going to work our way, like I said, left to right, top to bottom. Let's check out our front axle. And let's see our front axle. And I don't like the location or the position of that here, but we'll talk about that momentarily. Let's just turn on our front axles and bearings. So plastic straw is fine. You can use that for your front bearing. Apply, done. Front axle. We're just going to turn all these on now, and we're going to discuss what they're going to look like here. All right, so I've got some wheels on. These were just kind of the default wheels. They are not the wheels and not the axles that you're going to want, but kind of I wanted you to be able to visualize here and see what we're dealing with. So let's go back through. We're going to click done on all these different items that we brought up, and we're going to start fresh. All right, so we've got all of our axles and wheels displayed. Now, I don't like these wheels that are here, and also I definitely don't like where these axles are located. But first things first here, let's go back, and we're going to select the type of wheels that we're going to use. Our front wheels here, you can click your wrench. And we don't want these nitro. The ones that we're going to use for our front are called our LX, I believe. And those are just our traditional CO2 car wheels. You probably have seen those with some of the vehicles that have come out earlier in the year from some of your classmates. We're going to use those for the front, and we're going to, here under rear wheels, we're going to use, not the nitros, those are too expensive. We're going to use the PX wheel for the back. All right, so the PX wheel we've got selected for the back. Now what we're going to do here, we'll put apply, select, done. We've got our wheel locations. Now if we go back here to our move around command here, our rotate, we can kind of see we got some issues going on here with our vehicle. We've got axles that are too close together, and they are not necessarily where we want them to be on the vehicle. You can see this rear axle is kind of cutting through. So what we're going to need to do with this particular design is we're going to have to move our axles and our wheels to where we want them to be on the vehicle. Now, we're going to go all the way back to the first step that we talked about here. It's a little bit backwards that we're used to here in our virtual design here. We're going to go back to blank setup. And we are going to start by figuring out where we want these axles to be. And I would say probably the best way to do this is use your rotate and kind of look at the car from the bottom. Because it looks like we kind of want to move, one, these front axles up a little bit, and two, these rear axles, we want to move back so we have a little bit more of the meat of the vehicle here so that we can make sure that these are not rubbing and they're not drilled through so that they fall out when we're done creating this vehicle. So first thing we're going to adjust here under our docking station, we are going to adjust our rear axle position. Rear axle position. And it's pretty much saying that our rear axle is 76 millimeters from the back. We want that to be a little less. So let's do that. Let's move it down to 50. Hit apply. That looks like a pretty good location for your axles. So we're going to leave that one there. Now, what that did though, is that kind of moved our front wheels back a hair. So we want to actually take those front wheels, we want to get those front wheels and we want to move them up a little bit. Now, rather than change where these back axles are, we're gonna keep them where we're at our 50, but we're gonna extend what's called our wheelbase. And our wheelbase currently is 178. I don't know. Let's get in here and make it, I don't know, let's try 190 and see where it gets us. Let's rotate around a little bit. I really like where that location is. Now, taking a look let's go back to our vehicle here. If we turn these wheels off, like our rear wheels, so if you just hit here, your rear wheels, turn those off, and it'll still show the axles and where they're located. I like where they're both located. If we have to make adjustments later, we will. We can always come back. But those from top to bottom here, they look pretty good. So we'll leave them where they're at. We can turn our wheels back on. Now, the one thing looking at it from the top is looks like these axles are a little bit close to the block, and they might actually show us some friction by rubbing on the sides there. So we might want to actually get back into, let's go back to our front and rear axles. We go here to front axles. We're going to widen those up a little bit. We're here done with the blank setup. We're going to widen those up a little bit. Now it says 50 millimeters. Let's try 60. See how 60 comes out. If we apply it, you'll see that it kind of widens out those front axles. Let's rotate this around a little bit. We want to make sure that there's like kind of a little bit of axle showing on each side. And there is. So that way it's not rubbing up on and next to the block. Let's do the same thing for these back axles. We'll say apply done with our front. Let's go to our back axles, our rear axles. All right, we had 50. Let's put these at like 60 and see if it solves it. If it doesn't, we can always adjust it. Let's look around here a little bit. And as long as we can see a little bit of axle not rubbing on the block itself, I think we should be good there. All right, so we've got our axles placed. We've got our vehicle shape from top, from the side, both our top and lower profile. We've got a nice looking vehicle here. Now we're at the point where we need to start testing.